MIO, Memories in Orbit, a Metroidvania game made by Douze Dixièmes, I think that's how you pronounce it, a French indie dev team who, fun fact, are the same group behind Shady Part of Me, a game with a heavy, emotional and well-made story paired with a beautiful art style. You should check out Shady Part of Me as well, it's a good game. I have been playing nothing but Memories in Orbit for the past several weeks, so I wanted to show my journey through the game and talk about what I like, what I love, and what I dislike about it. There isn't much I dislike about this beautiful game. A quick notice before continuing. Throughout this video, I'll be talking about major parts of the story and the world as I discovered it, so there will be spoilers for this game in this video. Alright, let's get to it. The game had me curious right off the bat with this opening. You are shown a scene that quite honestly made me think of something being in Nier Replicant or Automata, which I won't complain about. Despite the simplicity of the design of this area, it's all wonderfully symmetrical and has a pleasant glow, which gets my neurons firing on the happy cylinder. This area is basically a platforming tutorial to help you get used to the distance of how far you can jump and the movement of your character, while someone or something whispers sweet nothings of the voiceless variety into your ear. This was a nice starting area. It gave me intrigue as to who is the she these words are referring to. She was more than a home, she was alive in her own way, and I wonder if her heart is still beating or is it like mine, made me both confused and curious. We are then given our first look as to the design of the character we'll be playing as throughout the majority of the game. Here we are. This is the actual art. Hello friend, you look wonderful. This is MIO, a little cutie patootie robot with golden flowing locks so radiant that you could swear that she got them directly from Galadriel's head. Oh, bye. It is also in this area that we are introduced to our first taste of combat with this little guy. Oh. And a little bit further up we are met with their inverted cousin. So let's talk about the combat. You have a standard 3-hit combo, a jumping upswing attack, and a pogo attack. There is something truly... You can juggle them! These attacks can hit multiple enemies. The impact of the attacks feels really good, and the hair whipping like animations for the attacks are really smooth. Unfortunately, this is where the depth of these standard attacks ends. There is no increase to the length of the standard 3-hit combo, there isn't any charge-up attacks that you can eventually learn, and overall feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. But there are new abilities that you can gain called modifiers. These can aid you in combat, and we'll talk about those a bit later. Oh no. Why? Why'd it do that? The fuck? Oh, shit! This has probably been where most criticism I have heard is directed for this game, and honestly, I'm in two minds about it. As you reach specific parts of the map, some of which are optional, you will lose 1 tick of health, permanently. There is no way of getting that health back. There are ways you can increase your health, but the one you just lost? Gone. Kaput. Bye-bye forever. You have a higher chance of seeing your dad come home with the milk than you do of seeing that health again. I'm still waiting for him to come back. The game does not scale the enemy difficulty to compensate for this health loss, and there has been criticism of this being not only punishing, but unfair. I personally never felt the impact too heavily, and I like the narrative reason the devs were going for with this mechanic, which I'll talk about later, but I also think the criticism of this mechanic is fair. What I will say is that I think the game, personally, is fun enough to push past the permanent health loss mechanic. Quickly, while on the topic of difficulty, I wanted to mention the 3 assist options that this game has to make things a bit easier if you need the help. There is eroded bosses, which makes the bosses a bit more brittle with each defeat that you suffer. There is pacifist, where any enemies outside of bosses will only attack you if you attack them first, and ground healing, where if you stay on the ground for a short time, you gain an extra layer of non-stackable protection. Throughout my time playing the game, I never felt the need to use any of these, because I am not a coward. Ooh. Nexus. Bonfire? Modify center. This is where we are first introduced to the matrix allocation and modifiers system. I mentioned before that you can get modules throughout the game, but modifiers are a bit different and use the allocation matrix. The allocation matrix is a limited slot system, where each modifier uses up a certain amount of memory space within the matrix, and each modifier will give you a different effect. There are two ways to increase this limited memory space. The first is by exploring the map and finding a total of 7 mod extensions, also through some NPC interactions, and the second way to increase that limit has more of an impact on what you may choose to do. There are a total of 42 modifiers you can get in this game, and 7 of them will increase the number of modifier slots in the matrix, but at the cost of a negative effect of some kind. Eventually, you arrive at a location called the Severed Spine, which acts as a central hub area that connects to multiple zones, or biomes, if you will. Honestly though, I struggle to see why it was given this name. Oh, hold up, maybe this distant purple cousin from Journey can tell us why. Well, they don't seem to know either. But they do mention how curious it is that we weren't disconnected after the last tremor. We'll be coming back here a lot, so we'll speak to this individual again later on, but remember this sentence. Also, there's a giant head thing attached to the spine at the top. This person here calls it the shell. It's pretty spooky looking. Double also, we had a small conversation with a voice in the pipe called Samsk. They are worried sick about a friend of theirs named Tomo and would like our help. Remember the name Tomo, it has importance. I was then given a giant quick middle finger by nature. Oh! And then came across this handsome chap. Rostam informs us that cogs are indeed starting to hit the fan, even more so since the tremors started and have been disconnecting everyone, one by one. Rostam also mentions these entities called pearls, and that it is their job to look after something called the vessel. This is also important. I made a friend. Do you like him? DZ's cool. I like him. After a brief encounter with another robot friend who I am sure is just sleeping, we are introduced to our first Nacre basin. This is where you heal any lost protective coating by spending Nacre, the in-game currency that you earn through defeating enemies and destroying junk piles, like the one you saw earlier. That's a cool animation. While it is annoying at first needing to spend Nacre to heal, I've never really found myself short of this currency outside of the first 45 minutes of the game, and you get to heal any amount you want, as long as you have enough Nacre. If you have taken 2 damage but are feeling spicy, heal just the 1. The thing to be aware of with Nacre is that if you die, you lose every drop you had on your robot person and respawn at the last point you rested at. Like Dark Souls, except the thing that kills you says, "The Nacre is mine now," and proceeds to wildly cackle as they clap their cheeks at you in a mocking fashion. Also, there's no way of getting the Nacre you just lost back at all. I have been in so much pain from how much I have lost at some points in this game. Oh, that was fucking, I lost so much. No! Thankfully, this game has something that we can do to remedy this issue. This is where this symbol comes into play. When you explore, you will encounter these guys called crystallizers. What they do is consume all of the nacre you have and proceed to spit out a lovely lump of crystallized nacre. This absolute champ of a currency will not be lost upon death. However, you cannot spend crystallized nacre on nacre basins to heal. At some point I found this little guy and aided him with their perpetual door problem. Honestly, it might be my favourite design with their dinky little legs and their tech marine looking arm. Rad is their name, and it seems that someone stole their hat. They also mentioned the name of their boss, Mel, being really mad at them. Rad also gives me a new modifier. Oh, cool. Before heading off the one way that I can't follow, the background. Also, I'm not proud about this. I wanted this to be to something not this little guy, but this was my first death in this game. Oh shit, no!
Wake up. Come to me.
And we are rewarded a cool cutscene to pique our interests, and mine was definitely piqued. Fun little thing about that is the same picture or scene that we are given at the main menu of this game. And now, our first boss fight. Aegis, the worn-out Sentinel. 3 things with this fight. Firstly, this was a really fun fight. Secondly, this music was an absolute jam. This hit so well with this fight. Thirdly, I love this little maneuver. Oh, the bitch! He taunted me! To me, even something as tiny as that adds a lot. Also, another thing to keep in mind is that at the very start, Aegis, I think that's how you pronounce it, mentioned the name Tomo. For those keeping score at home, that is the second time that name has popped up, with the first being from our friend that we made earlier, Samsk. After beating the boss first try, just saying, first try, let's go, we are once again met with Samsk, who is unperturbed by the lack of Tomo in the vicinity. Through their lack of confidence and height shaming, Samsk will provide us with our first module upgrade so that we can keep looking for Tomo. And they do this with some good old-fashioned robo-napping. Oh, it's you! Oh, hey friend. Oh, maybe friend. What? Excuse you. After Samsk rudely pressed the off switch, we are scuttled down the pipe and are brought back to the same type of area as the opening of the game. This time to practice our new module, the hairpin. Ooh. The hairpin is a grapple hook ability, where MIO springs their noodles forward and attaches themselves to these floating shapes in the sky, similar to the floating crystals that we've seen around the map several times before. And this can also be used on enemies for a quick surprise slap. Thanks to this module, exploration is also opening up even further to where we can get to now, which is also really cool. We are also introduced to a very important new mechanic of this game in the energy bar, or stamina bar depending on who you talk to. Whenever we use the hairpin ability on either a crystal or an enemy and it actually connects, our energy immediately goes down to nothing, and we can't use the hairpin until it is fully reset. There are several ways to regain energy, but the one we know for now is to keep our pin feet planted and it will quickly regenerate. I can hear sounds beyond the door. Oh. Dr. Haln's property. Hello. This is Mel. They are by far one of the best friends that you can gain in this game, because when you become friends with Mel, you unlock the shop, which was shown briefly in an earlier clip in the video. And from this shop, you can buy a bunch of different modifiers and upgrades from Mel. Also, I wanted to show this a little bit of a clip uninterrupted because I feel like it adds quite a bit of charm to Mel, so here you go. They make mention of at least she won't look for me around here. Given the title of Halen's property, it's a fair assumption that Halen is who Mel is talking about. Now, in the shop you can spend Nacre, but on some of the items you can see that there is another symbol next to them, and this is another type of currency called old cores. These old cores can be found scattered across all the different areas of this game, and there are a total of 39 to find. Watch and observe as MIO dives into the metallic corpse, violently discarding any and all cogs to get to the beautiful old core and proudly hold it aloft. It turns out that glowy little orb is referred to as a pearl, the same name as what our robot friend mentioned earlier, though these old cores belong to a long dead unit. From this, pearls sound like a type of heart that won't stop beating just because its host has passed on. Or maybe it isn't best used as a heart anymore. Maybe it is best used as something else, or recycled into something else. That's what I like about these little paragraphs we get. It gives a bit more insight into the world you are on, and in this case, what pearls could possibly be and how they actually function. Something you haven't seen up to now is what's been happening in between exploring. When returning back to the Severed Spine and speaking with She, you are given the option to donate any Nacre that you happen to have, and you get to fill this pool thing. Also, when dying, any Nacre you have automatically goes here as well. When we donate a certain amount of Nacre, She mentions that the network is slowly starting to wake up, and offers for us to see through her singular metallic eyeball. And we are given a map. Now, granted, this is only available to view from She's position, meaning we have to come back to the Severed Spine whenever we want to look at the map, but given that she said that the network is not fully awake yet, a fair assumption is that this won't be limiting like this for much longer. For now, we journey through a new biome called feral undergrowth, which taught me one very important lesson in this game, and that is that water has the Death Touch spell applied at all times. Further ahead, I am greeted by Miss Flora S. Peltrap, who seemed more than happy to see me. And me being me, I forgot I entered this fight with just one coat of protection. I managed to beat this boss on my second try, which I'm fine with. What I wasn't fine with, however, was this monstrosity of a mistake. Oh, don't actually die here, please. No, I actually died there. Also, from beating this boss, we are given another robo-friend with the catchy name of Personal Assistant, someone who we will see more of back at the Nexus, or Severed Spine, they're both the same thing. Eventually, making it back to She, we are given this cutscene, which I will play uninterrupted. She explains to us that being able to see again, they can see that the heart is in pain, and that if nothing is done, she will die, along with the vessel, and along with all of us. With the help from the other pearls, however, we could possibly save the heart, but the pearls are not responding to She. So while She tries to break through to the other pearls, we are to continue on our merry way to both Haven and to Metropolis, two areas that we haven't been to yet. And we now have access to the map anywhere, which is really helpful. Before continuing, we are given a bit more information about the pearls and about the heart, and just how important they are to the vessel. And supposedly they are ceasing to fulfill their functions because their voices are weak. She explains to us that the heart is what powers everyone, like the blood to a group called the Travelers, or the breath to the Haven area. Without the hand, none of us would exist in the first place, and without the eye, we would be forever wandering without being able to see through space. A lot of interesting information that begins to paint the vessel with similarities of a human body. The heart, the breath, the hand, and so forth. The breath less so for a human body, but you get the idea, a human in essence. We are also reacquainted with Personal Assistant, or PA if you will, whose functions are based around archaeology and traveller history. This is who we hand over these collectibles called Curo to and learn more about them. In this case, a standardized biochemical sample. These Curo reveal to us more lore about the world in the game, and this one in particular mentions its use in exoplanet analysis. When you start putting two and two together with She's mention of wandering through space and this Curo mentioning planets, it starts to paint more of a picture. A quick little thing, I was in Haven for about a minute before the spine awakened. I honestly didn't see much of Haven, so we will be going back there later. But first, we are going... Well, or we would be going there if not for this dual-wielding bionicle. I have a feeling the Toa would be a great fit for him. Acat was really fun. He did this cool slow-motion air maneuver. Oh, what? Oh, shit. I was in awe of his slow-mo. I feel like I should state this at this point. I will be including boss fights throughout this game, but I won't be including every boss fight in this game. Anyway, Acat dealt with me like I was a Paraka. Damn it! And I came back to some more words from She. Basically, She confirms that the heart is indeed dealing with some heartache and still needs help from the other pearls. She still can't reach them, so decides to send our tiny frame onwards to reach out to them ourselves. Thus, our journey is laid clearer before us, to travel to the 5 different pearls. The Blood is who oversees Metropolis, and that is the way we were going anyway, so the Blood is first. After dealing with Toa Acat, we see a torn Overseer. We will get back to these guys later. Eventually, we arrive at the not-so-pearly-looking gate of Metropolis. Big, isn't it? Partway through Metropolis, I do a quick loop-around detour and end up at another Samsk tube for our second upgrade ability, the Dodge. By dodging, we turn ourselves into a little Nimbus cloud for an admittedly small window of imperviousness. It may not seem like much, and honestly it took me some time to get used to the timing of this ability, but when it started to click, it really clicked for me. Also, you can eventually get some modifiers that make the dodge even better. Like, really good and really reliable. Also, the dodge is another ability that is not only satisfying in combat, but in exploration as well. While while exploring a bit further, I ended up back in Haven. What the fuck? Hello? Suddenly gone a lot more creepy now. Oh, you're just here. Oh shit! I know I just said I wasn't going to include all bosses, but I really want to include this one. God, oh my fucking god. Oh, oh, clutch, 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 clutch. Ah! After beating what is probably my favorite boss so far in this game, we quickly pick up our third new ability, the Harvester. This is actually our first passive upgrade ability, and we can use this to unlock the full potential of those lovely purple glowing flower things, because now, when we hit these flowers, we refill our stamina bar fully, and it resets our jumps. Hell yeah. This also applies when striking enemies, though the stamina only refills by a small amount. The jumps are still fully reset. Well, let's talk about Haven then. A beautifully vibrant and overgrown land that has more robo-friends. A death touch waterfall that I thought I could go through because video game brain. And what might be the first challenging platforming section in this entire game, complete with more nature middle fingers. No, so close. Ah, shit. In all seriousness, this platforming section was just a small taste of how difficult some parts were going to be in this game, and I really like difficult platforming stuff. This game, turns out, has a lot of it. Ah, new friend perhaps? Nope. Oh, you are not friendly at all. I also stumbled upon this. Oh, this seems ominous. What are you, broken shard?
Go, my dear. Save the heart.
Okay. I'm not going to lie, this completely caught me off guard with this just being here. Oh, the candle! I did find a candle earlier, but I'll be damned if I could find it in the footage when looking back. Note to self, take more notes. Also, this music for this area is so beautiful that it started to remind me of Expedition 33. Some more explanation from She about Asma. It seems that the final destination for the vessel is a place called the Promised Land, and Asma was the one who was searching for it. Oh. We completely on purpose and not on accident sever our first pearl. Also, a really cool thing about this game, look what I found. Ooh. Hi. Oh, I can pet the dog. Oh, yes. Oh, game of the year. I can pet the dog. Yes, you can pet the dog. Game of the year. I spent a fair amount of time just exploring and admiring the game when this happened. Oh, what? What? Another one? God, there's so many of these. Just a really cool thing. And after several hours, I finally found out what these torn overseers actually do. Oh, they just return to these. Oh, that has me Overseer's Path? Is that the only difference? I think so. Oh, there is fast travel! Oh, okay, cool. That makes sense. Also, resting at these places fully restores any damage you might have suffered. There are a total of 15 torn overseers that you will be able to find, and trust me, you will want them, as you will most likely be doing a lot of backtracking, because I missed a bunch of stuff. The fast travel is really nice to have, especially with how expansive this game can get in the later sections. We find another one of Mel's employees named Sin in the Foundations, a frozen labyrinth that lays beneath Metropolis, before swapping back over, again, to Haven and finding our third little bush buddy, named Cos, and we send them back to Mel as well. Finding these little guys will start to unlock more modifiers that you can purchase from Mel, so make sure you find them. They are really helpful. Travelling up to a location called the Bell Tower, we are greeted once again by our buddy Samsk, who briefly reminisces on their and Tomo's time they spent here. We are then scooped up and are given the glide ability. It is exactly as it sounds. Though with this one you can use it briefly to hover in place if you so desire. Eventually arriving at the entrance to the Breath Pearl, we are told by this guy, Janus, that the greenhouse is shut. So, it's time for a good old break-in. Or at least it would be if I didn't accidentally end up in this hellhole of a place. Oh, Promenade. It's a rather dreary and depressing area that houses these little bastards. Oh god, no, that's not cool. I hate these things. I hate them so much. They look like if Bulbasaur got really into floriculture and then invited you to something that they call lethal gardening. Anyway, enough of the flesh-eating flowers. Let's talk about... You've seen and heard it throughout the video so far, but I still want to talk about it, because by the vessel, this art style and music is stunning. The art style is a mix of 2.5 dimensions, some cell shading, and beautiful watercolours with this hand-drawn style that makes me feel like I'm moving through a graphic novel in real time, and I love every second of it. Some of the backgrounds being incredibly detailed, like Haven and Metropolis, to others being roughly sketched or extremely drained of colour, like Promenade, further enhance the story of each area of the mood being set really well. The music is as beautiful as the art style and matches the feeling and tones of each area and each boss fight, dare I say, effortlessly. Seriously though, Etienne Thibault Buisson, the art director for this game, and Joran, the render developer for this game, whose full name I could not find, and I apologize if I butchered the pronunciations of those names, they did incredible work making this art style and using it to bring this game to life. And Nicholas Giegen, who was the sole composer, producer, mixing engineer, and sound programmer for this game, made this incredible soundtrack consisting of 75 tracks. The way that these tracks are textured match the atmosphere of this game so well, and I'm going to stop gushing now because otherwise I will not be able to stop myself. And all of that is before we've even seen all of the areas in this game. Some trial and tribulations took me to this area, named... well, probably best we don't know. But we couldn't do too much here outside of needing to be an assistant for Dr. Halen. I also found this handsome creature. Ooh. Elegant, Naboo. And eventually made it to the Breath themselves.
A drop in the ocean. Tangled vines among withering stars. My garden. It grew boundless. From eye to heart, livelier than ever. Yet its blooms hide deeper, darker roots. A hunger that cannot ever be satiated. And then there's you, again, the little sapling who wished to save the sun. Will you do it, sapling? Will you give back what you have been gifted? It matters little. Have my voice. Do what you please with it. I don't care.
They literally just said nah and gave us their voice. Our second pearl at this point has now been severed, and their name was Amytis, and like Asthma, they shall be remembered. I then played a rather long game of The Floor is Hot Pipes. Oh no, no, please sorry. Ow! Quick, bitch! Okay. Well, that was fun. This might be some of the harder platforming parts I've had to do in this entire game so far, I think. Oh my god. Oh god, it's so difficult. And had a really fun fight with another boss, representing what a Terminator would look like if Skynet wanted to spread some Christmas cheer. Oh. Hi, buddy. Oh dear. Okay, sure. Oh my god! This snowmanator is eventually dealt the killing blow. Oh! Ooh. And we continue on to another one of Samsk's pipes, where we are told this was the place where Samsk and Tomo first met, where Samsk was fresh out of a place called the Vaults, and that Tomo was the only one not afraid of them. After a rather sad sentence that honestly really made me feel something for Samsk, we are whisked down another pipe. It is here that we learn the Strider's ability. Ooh! Oh, look at me! I'm Dr. Octavius. It's probably my favourite one. A cool thing with this ability is when you start using it, your speed starts the same as your normal running pace, but quickly builds up for most of the Strider ability's use. A nice little boost that I found out as soon as I gained this ability, and not at all when I was 25 hours into the game, out of 30 plus. We then find a letter from Tomo to Samsk. These letters have been given us some parts of the story between best buds Tomo and Samsk, and by this point I have found, including one we just picked up, letters 2 through 5, and this will be a little rundown of what we know from these letters. In letter 2, Tomo claims to be making progress on what triggered the decay in most, if not all, of the units of the vessel, or more accurately, what didn't cause the decay. At some point, Tomo thought that the absence of the Travelers is what caused it. While the decayed units consisted of a range from workers to social pets to any role in between those, Tomo has found that the personal assistants of who were closest to the Travelers, including themselves despite being a special case, are wholly unaffected. In letter 3, Tomo has claims of good news, with the decay not being communicable. They even give thanks for the fall of the network, since the network requires wired connections for data to travel from unit to unit. This is something that's preventing an unwanted spread of the decay. In Letter 4, we learn that the bell tower is even older than the vessel itself, being a rare relic that the travelers chose to take with them before embarking. I had already assumed, before the point of finding Letter 4, that we were travelling on some kind of spaceship through space, but this letter confirms it, as the vessel is a structure created by the travelers to cross the stars. Tomo learns from this location that the travelers had a deep-rooted unconditional care and love for all of the units upon the vessel, or at the very least that they were cared for. Then we get to Letter 5, the one that we just collected, and it brings some unfortunate news from Tomo. Tomo believes that the decay is accelerating. Younger units seem to be more susceptible than older units, and they believe that at some point there will not be enough of them to take care of the vessel anymore. We then find out that Tomo decides to travel to the vaults to see exactly what is happening, and as they have not seen a fresh unit from the vaults for the last few decades at least. So as far as their story goes, the vaults will be our next location when continuing to follow Tomo. Using our newfound Strider ability, we rescue our fourth and final employee of Mel named Tan. We are also given probably the coolest shot of Metropolis, complete with a big statue that by this point I would believe to be one of the travelers. And in quick succession from having severed the breath, we then reach the blood.
Turn back. We don't want you here. Do not come any closer. Do not look at us.
Oh. Oh, they look ashamed. That's actually really sad.
Kindness. We remember kindness. We remember warmth. We remember the pulse of life coursing through our shell. A rhythm now still. We don't deserve kindness. Even so, your presence punctuates the silence. You do not bring judgment, but a query. If you seek comfort, none remains. Then, do you seek us? Do you truly seek our help? Forgiven now.
This almost felt like a form of confession. facing the fact that them and the other pearls had lost their way since the travelers disappeared, and thus are failing the heart by not working together. This one felt alone and cold. Probably the saddest interaction in this game so far. His name was Leo, and they will be remembered. At this point in the game, we have only the spine and the hand left to sever. But I wanted to head back to Asthma quickly, because I had a few candles I wanted to place down.
Come. I need you. At the top. Meet me. Time is running out.
And this was a strange part when I did this, because we are now placed into the area that is shown in the menu screen, without any use of our abilities available to us previously.
This fabricated world is aging, crumbling, failing. And so am I. We all are. Almost there.
In some way, this felt like reliving or revisiting an old memory of MIO's. I then end up in another redacted area with some more fairly difficult platforming parts, with another round of the floor is hot pipes. Climb, 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 climb. Oh, I love those bits so much, they're so intense. And encounter the employment ledger of Dr. Halen, with the last check-in being 32 years ago from an assistant named Peepo. Peepo. I then apply for the position of the assistant with a worrisome line of questioning, but I'm sure this is just a regular interview process for the doctor, and it's nothing to worry about at all. After nailing that interview process, we are given the job and can now open several doors that were previously closed and locked to us. Okay, something I want to talk about quickly is this. Now, I'm going to speed up this little bit here, then slow it down briefly and then speed it up again. Oh my. The reason I did that is twofold. One, I wanted to show how cool and ominous this background was. It's dark, it has these curled, gnarled roots, and an extremely large structure to really give an idea of just how gargantuan and intimidating the vessel really is, and just how small MIO really is. This whole scene sets a stage of, oh, okay, the hardest part of my journey has not even started. It was a moment of excitement. And two, this is an example of another issue I have with this game. The walkbacks. All in all, this lift ride takes, by my counting, 56 seconds. I timed it on my phone. Nearly a minute. And at first, I was fine with this. But when you take these long lift rides repeatedly where nothing really happens outside of you looking at the cool background, eventually even that same background can get tiring. There are lifts, or shuttles in this case, that are really similar to this one that you just saw in its length, and there isn't anything you can do to speed up this process. You head to the shuttle down here and press the button, but then last second remember there was something else you wanted to do quickly. Too bad, you've got to do the whole journey, then head straight back down again. And the reason you need to head straight back down again and can't just fast travel, the reason you have to take the lift again, is because you can't fast travel from up here down to here and vice versa. This is the map after having discovered this area, and it's split into two, the upper part and the lower part basically. And these symbols are the rest points where you can change out your modifiers and fast travel if you have the overseers. So any overseers you have found down here or up there, you can't fast travel to if you are on the opposite part of the map. Normally walkbacks are a problem in relation to bosses and the route you have to take to get back to them, whether that be through difficulty, length, or a combination of both. This game has a few of those, sure, but I didn't find them as bad as these shuttles. And I'm sure there is a reason for no fast travel in this way, but I can't really think of any for it. Hey, this is Ib from the future. After I recorded this section, the dev team released their 1.2 patch for the game, and it came with a bunch of really nice updates, including some quality of life stuff. One of the quality of life updates was to speed up the shuttles after you... So these shuttles now only take 18 seconds, down from 56. That is a lovely change, and I have a lot of respect for the dev team because they either realized that this is just bad to have in the game, or that enough people complained about it and the dev team listened. Either way, it's a welcome change, so thanks for that. Honestly, all of these changes in this patch are very welcomed. Anyway, back to the game. This shuttle is what leads us to the vaults, and the most harmless, adorable little guys with a health bar. Don't look at me like that. It's free nacre. They're not going to do anything with it. We have a brief encounter with a purple shield thing, and some books of an unreasonable size within a giant room giving me the vibes of a deep web version of Toy Story. Speaking of which, we encounter the little green men's favourite thing. Well, it's technically a hand, but don't tell me that they wouldn't see that thing and say, the claw, because they would.
A rat in the vessel. There is always one. The rat is not one of mine. I fix, it disrupts. I bring order, it spreads chaos. Such a tiny nuisance. I know all your secrets, rat. Your so-called purpose. Unneeded, unwanted, efforts wasted. Go back to your pod. Cease your rampage. I protect the vessel. You are of no consequence. And don't come back.
This is going to be a place that we come back to, if this just wasn't obvious. So, after being giant finger banned, we quickly pick up the first letter from Tomo. This letter states that Tomo is having trouble understanding the decay of other units' behaviour, if there is a way to restore the unit's consciousness or not, and what is causing this to happen. I head back to the Nexus for some wonderful new modifiers to spend my hard-earned nacre on, but there are a bunch of giant hands similar to the hand in design, littered all over the ground. What the fuck happened? Rad informs us that Mel was kidnapped and taken to the vaults, and we should meet Rad there if we want to get Mel back. Now, I wasn't about to let my best bud be dismembered in the vaults, but the fact that you no longer gain access to the shop until you rescue Mel, it's even more of a reason to go. This was also another gripe that I had with this game, and that I've seen other people have with this game. In taking away the shop in this manner, I understand that it can be a bit annoying, and there's no forewarning or anything that this might happen when you reach a certain point. But personally, it didn't bother me too much, as I had been frequently buying things from Mel anyway when I could. Also, she tells us basically why the hand is being a complete dick, and that confronting her is basically the only way to get her to listen. We also start seeing more of these guys, the librarians. This one in particular mentions how they don't wish to remember something that happened a long time ago, something by all accounts rather horrible. We later find Rad, who opens a door for us, and I head back to the toy making room thing and find This weirdly has the same design as that commemorative statue back in Metropolis, with diagrams of it having some sort of Mega Man looking cannon thing. I find this guy, what the, whoa, okay, sure, who was a blast to fight, he was just here, then came across the 6th letter from Tomo. Claims of something called the gloom water being in the pearls of every unit, and the gloom water is what everyone in the vessel, unit-wise, is made of. Because of this letter, gloom water sounds like a sort of refined poison, and the reason for the degenerating of the units. Tomo loses faith of any form of cure that they might be able to find, but perhaps a possible vaccine for the future generation at least, then states that they need to head to the source of where all pearls are made. The Crucible. This is an area we will touch on a bit later. For now, we learn our 6th ability from Samsk, the Slingshot. Now that we have learned this ability, whenever we hit these diamond-shaped floating objects, we fire a beam. This beam can be aimed in different directions depending on the side of where you hit it. We can now use these beams to hit the purple barrier, disabling it in the process, and gives us access to the breakable wall behind it. That's cool. I then decide to take a quick detour. Or massive detour. We go through some even more harder platforming parts. Seriously, this area alone took me quite a while to do. A bit of a hard climb later, and we end up in Celestial Bay, the exact same location where we saw that past vision from Asma. Though this time, we have our abilities, and now the place is overrun with nature's favourite deathworms. Travelling from left to right leads me all the way back to Haven, or more specifically the bell tower from way earlier. A wonderful example of great level design. This game has a bunch of that. It has it in droves. Then, something I admittedly forgot about by this point. The health loss makes a return. Now, given what we have learned about the world at this point, I'll mention what the devs were going for with this mechanic. As far as I understand it, the entire vessel and all of its pearls are centered around the heart, and the heart is in pain and is slowly dying. These moments of permanent health loss are meant to represent heart palpitations or tremors. That pain in the chest that feels like your heart is skipping a beat. It's shown in this game through this health loss mechanic. A representation of MIO starting to decay, just like the other units on the vessel. I mentioned before that playing through this game, I was able to push past this health loss and thoroughly enjoyed my time with this game, and that I really liked the reasoning behind why this happens. But it did hit a bit differently after completely forgetting about it and having it happen again. It stung a bit more. I did feel a bit more annoyed about it this time around, but I feel like part of that is just because I forgot about it, and I would still say that if you can push past this understandably dividing part of the game, this game's experience that it offers overall is worth it. Soon after this heart attack, look who we find just hanging around. Oh god. Is that Mel? It also seems like Mel has been making some new friends. Debbie. Hi. I have to say, my favourite thing about Debbie here is how they inspect their stomach body thing, complete with squeakiness, to realise there is no water. Gloom water. I think gloom water. I think that's what that's meant to be. Tiny details like that always add a little bit more character, no matter how small they are. It's something that's really nice to see. You'd think that Debbie was on a top team of synchronized swimming with these maneuvers. Look at this. Anyway, we beat the captain of the Gloomwater Globadiers and successfully rescue Mel. Oh, he had so much health. And in turn, we now have access to the shop again. Oh god, not you again. What did you just fire? That's not even the thing you normally... Okay. That's not even the thing you normally do. We then have an encounter with one of my favourite murder fellows. More... oh no. What? Yeah, nah, I'm good. Seriously, I absolutely loved this little section. I say little, but this goes on for a good while, and it was genuinely panic-inducing in the good sense. No, I fucked it! No! Oh, I didn't. Thanks to the game's really tight controls, this section has a way of making you feel like you aren't going to make a jump or cross a section, but you barely do with no stamina left. It teaches you to be efficient with when to use that second jump, or when to use any ability that uses stamina. No! Because there are very few ways to regenerate it, and in this section, you can't afford to stand still, and there are barely any platforms to physically stand on. It also tries to encourage you to get used to hitting enemies more to regenerate that stamina. Okay. Easy. Oh no! Hi. Oh. Oh no. No, not one of these. I know that this guy tried to murder me and steal my hard-earned nacre and whatever, but I really did not want to kill him. Not like this, in this state. It would have been pretty cool to have an alternative where you don't kill them and they become a friend or something. That would have been really cool. Anyway, I kill him. And that's that. Deciding that a flick of the finger was the gravest of insults, we return for our revenge against the hand.
The rat. Again. Persistent little fellow. A mistake to rectify. Fortunately, I made the perfect tool for this.
Or rather the anti-rat weapon, Anra, the same doll thing that we saw earlier on display.
Let me see how you dance.
Oh, I hate how it moves. This was a fairly difficult fight. Anra's attacks are very robotic, obviously, and in my mind I think that those attacks would be easier to dodge, because the charge-ups for those attacks are very systematic and singular in its movements. But my tiny brain just couldn't get the timing down for a good bloody while. This is not going well at all. Oh no. At least the boss music was a tune to bop my head to. Halfway through the fight, and the hand reveals that she is an avid TTRPG player, as this tiny yellow die gives complete invulnerability to the rat remover. Took me a moment to realize this, but when you hit the die, you start chipping away parts of it, eventually destroying it fully and removing the invulnerability status on Anra. To my knowledge and memory and everything that I recorded for this video, this was the only time an outside source of a boss fight has assisted the boss you are actually fighting. In this case, the hand helping Anra. I really liked this because it added a tiny bit more complexity and it made it more memorable. Also, what I said about the Mega Man cannon thing earlier, I was right. She has a gun, she's Mega Man in me. This doesn't add on to the existing moveset that you've been learning in the fight, it just makes a whole new one that you now have to learn. Again, though, I really liked this. It added more challenge to the fight, which I'm always a fan of. And then, victory. Yes! Yes, yes. Anra. Oof.
Do I have to do everything by myself?
Or so I thought, because this bitch decides that she didn't hear no bell and proceeds to pick up Anra and starts treating it like the Hulk treated Loki. Though it is pretty funny how Anra also takes damage from the impact hits. I feel like I could have put 2 and 2 together by this point, but this is when I realized that when fighting the hand, it's actually Dr. Halen in the name reveal. And then this. Yeah, you just have to do the whole Anra fight again. But by this point I had a moveset basically fully downloaded and got back rather quickly to fighting the hand again. This fight, all in all, was the hardest one so far. But eventually, Dr. Halen was defeated.
I searched for another way. In every calculation, every scenario. The results are the same. Disconnection. No. Death. The journey ends here for me. But for you, it may not. Take my voice, Rat. Save what can be saved. I shouldn't be afraid to die.
And the hand was severed. She will be remembered, like the rest. Now all that is left is the spine. Revealed to us is Atty, our sister. Atty is a character in this game that I haven't shown you up to this point, partly because I lost the footage of the encounters before this fight, but Atty is another keeper, just like MIO, only purple in dreads. The voice of the spine has already been collected by Atty, and she has no intentions of parting with it. Our whole quest given to us by she upon our awakening to help save the heart is of the same idea of someone called Noden, someone we'll talk about a bit later on. Saving the heart will prolong the lives of the units on the vessel, and Atty sees this as a pointless endeavour. Without the travellers, our purpose is null and void, as useful as the vessel floating through space without guidance. Thus, it is best to let go now while we still can, and to go peacefully. Atty gives us a final warning. We ignore it, and begins our final fight for the voice of the spine. It didn't go well. I decided to take a quick detour from the fight, and funnily enough, I found this encounter with Atty after attempting the fight for the first time. She mentions how when the travellers were around, everything felt lively, everything felt better. But ever since they dared protect a dream that they had, they all went extinct in a single day. En route of heading to Asma to place another candle down, we get our fourth tremor. And after placing down the candle, we get some backstory from Asma that I would actually like to play without interruption.
Many generations ago, a promise was made to find them a new home, fit for life. But we could not keep our word. And now, they are gone. Soon it will be us. Something has to be done. A drastic change. Otherwise, their legacy will disappear with us.
Then we meet the Eye herself.
MIO, my dearest companion. how I missed you. It feels lonely here on my own, among the stars. Look, just out of sight. We had our chance, but we couldn't seize it. And now, this world, our made-up home. Clea is fighting for it. I can see her pulse flickering. She needs our help. Our essence. Our voices. It is time we leave our shells and join her. Go, my dear. Save the heart. I miss her.
The first voice we obtain, even before our reawakening at the very beginning of the game because of Samsk, was Asma's. We are told of some kind of fight that is happening within the vessel, one that Clea is fighting for. Just as a heads up, we will be getting back to the fight with Ati, but there are some more exploring parts that I wanted to look at first. There was some moments of really difficult platforming to get to this door, which you need 6 access codes for. Thankfully, I have been collecting these things that I had no idea what they would be used for up until now, so I only needed one more to get, and it's in a absurd spot. But we got it in the end. Beyond this door gives us access to the most ominous pipe room you will probably ever see, along with the Sanctuary of the Sycophant. This whole area had a unique quality to it. You see all these cables? You see how they are all completely covering the ground everywhere? Well, when you come into contact with them, it prevents your stamina from regenerating. Just flat out. And you can bet your core that there are some tight platforming sections in this area. All of this area leads to the rotund boy himself, Vlad, and his little Atlas robot holding him up. His whole gimmick was having the same cables all over the arena that you fight him in, and being able to rotate the arena as he chooses. All in all, this was another really fun fight. We even get our final candle to give to Asma as a wonderful little reward, along with a bit of a hidden door leading to an area called the Pit. However, pearls with fully working cores are denied access. Heading back to Asma, we place the final candle and are given this. This may not seem like the best modifier depending on how you want to play the game, but it's actually really important, because this modifier is basically turning us into a defective core, given in the name of the modifier. We technically no longer have a fully functioning core when we equip this. This means that we gain access to the Pit. So, the Pit. You could probably tell from the moment of entry, but it's an extremely gloomy, damn near depressing place. Everything just feels sad, and everything just feels abandoned. The only other colours pushing through this grey sea are our own golden light, and that ominous red. So eerie. And we are then met by this terrifying claw. I take it back, the little green men would fall head over heels for this. This is a claw. This whole area has a sense of tension and oppression with this giant claw thing just staring at us. It's like they are confused in what they're looking at, which makes sense to a degree because we're not meant to be here. This place is littered with these strange ball things, with more and more of them raining from the sky. And we find a cracked one with this strange glow, and something called a flash memory. This flash memory notes a past conversation of observations about a unit that has been sent to the pit, purely because this unit's whole job was to find a habitable planet, and it couldn't find any, and it's therefore deemed a failure and sent to the pit. All of these giant balls are pearls. So many pearls that have been discarded for one reason or another. And this pearl that we find with that glow, yeah, it's a horrible place down here. I assumed that this pearl is the same pearl that the flash memory was about. Then we find these little dickheads. I completely forgot that while we are in this area, the pit, it is a no-hit run basically, because of the modifier we need to access this area. I jump past what I think is gloom water, find literal mountains of pearls, and then start to realize that, oh yeah, the pearls are just straight up leaking gloom water. It's what Tomo mentioned before. It's what we are made of. Literal sludge waterfalls of gloom water pouring down from the sky as we walk upon, well, basically the dead of the vessel, and eventually make it to the other side. After a bit more exploring, it's at this point that I finally decide to fully confront Ati. I didn't mention it before in the first encounter, but it's cute how we both bow to each other before pummeling the absolute pearls out of each other. Also that she is specifically named the Keeper of the Heart herself. And for a final fight, it's pretty damn good. The music fits well, fighting inside the shell of the spine is really cool, and I think it's the only fight where the boss has a grab move. Something else I wanted to point out, which I think is really cool, is how the health bars of all the enemies that we fight are showing the decay, and they're showing this by having that small section of health being blacked out. That's just a really cool detail. This fight made using the dodge ability feel really good as well. I would say that this fight wasn't as hard as the Dr. Halen fight, though that might partly be because of what felt like a bit of a cheese move to dodge this ability, where I think I was meant to use the diamonds to dodge instead. The fight overall was, I would say, more fun than probably any boss fight I have done up to this point. Eventually, Ati begins to unleash what I could have assumed would be a spirit bomb, before another tremor is felt. Giving us the opening we need. One final, laboured hit to defeat Ati. And as we reap the voice from Ati, it is revealed that the spine was Noden. We make our way past and end up to the barely beating heart of the vessel. The heart whose name is Claire.
Tired. So very tired. So very frail. The vessel is too heavy. I can't carry her anymore.
voices. You gathered their help for me, didn't you? You always were the dependable one, never asking for anything in return. Thank you. With all of you by my side, I think I can hold on. I won't let this world go. Not yet. Keeper. You went far and beyond your initial functions. Your memories show how difficult it was. And how brave you were. The people you met, the decisions you made. How unfair that you have to pay the price for our past mistakes. But your spark, however tiny, is what holds us all together. We were estranged for so long. No more. And it is thanks to you. Rest well, MIO. You are one with the vessel now.
Our actions have given Claia the strength to carry on, to push the vessel onwards no matter how hard it may be, with the aid of the other voices. And our journey, MIO's journey, is now at an end. Or is it? There is still a bunch of stuff I want to talk about with this game, and there is some stuff I want to finish up as well. Firstly, the Crucible that was mentioned a little bit ago. The Crucible is a bit of a hidden area to get to. So firstly, we need to head to the Land of Hands that isn't called Caria Manor and isn't filled with the stupid Gripper Snatchers and their stupid giant magical rings. I hate those giant hands. The reason is to pick up a giant finger. We take this finger to a giant broken hand I found a while ago while I wasn't recording, and then we can use this giant wheel. We need to align them to a certain number, then take a lift up one way, then take the other lift down the other way, and then do the long climb up the shaft. We then rest at this site, head back down to turn the wheel again, head back up to then fast travel to that last rested point, then fall all the way back down the shaft that we took to get here, and... holy fuck. We arrive at the Crucible, and with the Keeper of the Blood themselves. Tomo is not surprised that Samsk aided us, agrees to talk with him, and mentions that she is close to figuring out why the Crucible is going cattywampus. It seems the decay rate that the pearls have been producing is too high, and wants to check the gloom water condition at the inlet, or maybe something is wrong with the crystallization process. Samsk then appears and they have a little catch-up, while we, selflessly, take on the task of getting to the bottom of the Crucible issue. You have two choices here, left and right, and I will tell you, either direction leads to the most difficult platforming in the entire game. These two areas are basically this game's path of pain. If you know, you know. They will test your patience and you will need to bring your A game in your movement to get through this. The parts that you are seeing right now is all I will show of the entire Crucible section, because I think this is something that you should experience for yourselves and see for yourselves. It's a doozy of a time. After many attempts, we get our Crucible report on the purified catalyst status, for Tomo to translate it and explain that the gloom water is pure and not at fault for what is happening. Tomo then theorizes that the decay must be coming from the structure of the pearls itself, and is convinced that we will find a fatal flaw in the crystallization process. Thus begins round 2 of platforming pandemonium. Tomo examines the report, and to their shock finds that there is nothing wrong. Pressure level stable, optimal temperature, hell, even the product density is flawless according to them. But the pearls have decayed before even being outputted. This is why there are so many rejected pearls within the pits. From the very beginning, they would have descended into a self-destructive behavior if given the smallest programming. Samsk explains that the Crucible is now beyond saving, that because it has been working non-stop for over a millennia and is as old as the vessel, it has most likely decayed itself and is therefore creating unstable pearls that quickly degrade and lead to them becoming aggressive. And then in a scene that gives a heavy emotional response more than what I was expecting, Samsk begins to deactivate the Crucible, giving it the rest that it deserves. You know, this reminds me of the Can't Help Myself art piece where the robotic arm is constantly leaking fluid and constantly sweeping it back into the middle, and over a long period of time it just begins to slow down, signifying a losing battle it has no hope of winning. After deactivating the Crucible, Samsk hands us the remaining part of its core, and grants us our final ability, Flowing Steps. Basically, our spider walk can now be used on liquid surfaces as well. Seems that every unit, no matter how big and grand, has a pearl of some kind, somewhere. That alone makes them susceptible to the decay. Tomo had hoped to find a cure for it, to stop the decay and to fix the next generation, only to find that we will be the last generation. As a heads up, the next few things that will be shown will be in an order that makes more sense and gives a better flow to the video than when I actually discovered them, so if you see any odd discrepancies with how much health I have, that would be why. Heading back to the pit, we find a graveyard of larger pearls, ones with actual shape to them. That one in the ceiling, for example, looks extremely similar to amethyst. We then meet Soul, the last embedder, and how they were around when they were embedded. The embedders are the ones who ensured that the vessel had a future. This is something that they explain to us. We also find in the same place something called the Fragment of Ailun, a fragment of the spine. Showing this fragment to this librarian in the Nexus says that they don't recognize the voice of this spine, and asks if the pearls themselves are shattered and reborn after some time, just like every other unit. This is all you get from that fragment, but it is a really important piece of context to the lore of this world. We head over to a place called the Embedding Palace, and have a pretty high difficulty fight against the same soul that we met earlier and Vin, the last embedders. My storage ran out by this point on my computer, so I wasn't able to get the full footage of this fight, but just trust me, it was a really cool fight, and it was really hard, but I eventually managed to beat them. Further ahead, in a little hidden section up above, we find... So, this is Lura, a traveller. Now, to make some sense of what we're seeing and what has happened here, let's quickly talk about the embedding. Embedding in this game is a process followed through by units called embedders, like the ones we just fought. They take a traveller's biological consciousness and permanently transfer it into the pearls, along with placing the body itself of the traveller within the shell. These individuals now become known as voices and serve as integral systems for the vessel, like the heart, the spine, and the eye, and so on. A major benefit, depending on your view, to being embedded is the extension of the traveller's lifespan, up to several hundred years. Based on what that fragment told us, it would mean that every so often, possibly a few hundred years or so, the current pearl would be destroyed, and a new one would take its place with a new embedding of a different traveller, basically doing a shift swap, but the person clocking out is doing so on a permanent basis. Lura was supposed to take over from Noden as the next spine of the vessel. We know this from one of the Kuros, the Pristine Journal, and we get this Pristine Journal by using the seal that we find in this same spot. This is a note from Lura showing gratitude to Noden for guiding her and hoping that he is now able to find the rest that he deserves. What we see here is a failed embedding. Something that we are told directly from the embedders that we just fought is that they failed this embedding process for Lura and refer to it as a shameful event. As far as I am aware, there is no explicit reasoning as to why it failed, but since that failure, they decided to not continue with embeddings, to cease the process altogether, and we know this because of this traveller's log. These logs are another type of collectible in the game. A denial of her death, and stating that there will be no more sacrifices. So, due to there being no more embedding, the current pearls would be the last. All the voices were heavily affected from this in some way. Thanks to this pearl record by Halen, it is why we know that becoming a pearl extends the traveller's lifespan, and that since the failed embedding, they are forever stuck in their shells. And Halen notes that Noden seems calm about this, even though he will be the first one to suffer from the long-term effects of being a voice, things like paranoia, dementia, and frenzy. It also states the desire she had to delay these symptoms, matching her voice carrying the weight of ambition. This record of Leo shows a tremendous amount of guilt, how they were meant to protect Lura and failed, that they couldn't protect the traveller's dream from the machines, and how the despair of everyone is so overwhelming. This matches his voice that carries the weight of regret. Ametis, as we remember, was extremely dismissive of us taking her voice. Her pearl record tells us of Asma's keeper who came with that traveller in tow seeking refuge. There is no real sense of guilt, urgency, sadness, optimism, nothing since this shameful event, this failed embedding. This matches her voice carrying the weight of indifference. Asma, the one that MIO is the keeper of, notes in her record that she is feeling the strain of searching for so many years. She starts to struggle on telling what is real and what might be a trick, and that she is struggling to focus. Things that would happen to you as you grow older. This matches her voice that carries the weight of aging. Also that she believes to have finally found the right planet, a new home, and an end to their journey, and wishes to share the news, and Noden. This is someone we'll get to in a bit. Going back to the Celestial Bay from earlier, we find that lift we went up in the flashback, but now heavily broken, destroyed and exposed to open space. Midway up the lift with the admittedly annoying zero-gravity movement, there is another section where there are up to 10 planetary reports. Each planet where it seemed inhabitable seemed to also have something wrong with it. high volcanic activity, even a moon set on a doomed trajectory. There was one planet that was so large that the infrastructure wouldn't be able to resist the gravity. But you could replace the word infrastructure with, quote, your feeble organic flesh. I'd feel good about going on this planet. One after another, there was always some reason given to not set that planet as the new home for the travelers. Also, it seems that the vessel was impacted by an asteroid at some point, based on this giant cracked rock, possibly leading to the infestation of the red grass and weird tentacle worm things, given that the inside of the asteroid is filled with them. Eventually, we arrive at the observatory with one hell of a telescope and begin to read the planetary analysis. The last planet scan that was made, seemingly perfect for colonization. As we try to download the coordinates for the planets, there is an error and we are shown the last few entries. They are by ASMA, with the data being validated, and the coordinates being downloaded by someone called Ember, another traveler. And then a minute later, the coordinates are deleted from the records. Then we are greeted by Ati. This is one of those few interactions I actually managed to record, so a big thumb up for me. Ati explains that she knew the coordinates were gone, but wanted to believe they weren't. Because of this, Ati is convinced that us trying to save the vessel would be to maintain a pointless journey, a journey with no destination. She does not have the heart, or in this case the core, to let that happen, and then vanishes. In her wake, she leaves a note titled Final Instructions. This is a Pearl record, with no directly stated name as to who it is from. It shows that orders were given to Ati, and that attempts were made to get the coordinates, but failed. Climbing further up this broken lift, we find the eye's remains, broken open. Given how close MIO and Asma were, there is this really sweet thing you can do here. You can stargaze. Just for a moment of clarity, for a moment of reprieve and rest. It's really sweet. While travelling through an area called the Canopy with some of the biggest bulbs I have ever seen in a video game, we eventually reach this. Quite a sight, isn't it? An onlooking librarian informs us that this is called the catalyst. It is what would be used to turn an entire planet into a habitable home for the contents of the library. You might notice the large crack in the middle, and the giant units frozen in space in a position of tearing open this catalyst. Cassandra says that if Halen had just listened, then this breach would have been fixed and we would not have to be in a rush to land. But what she did instead was harvest it and clean it and tried turning it into more pearls with a hope of trying to make more units to aid the vessel. In a way, she succeeded. But the pearls she made were imperfect and corrupted. Heading to an area called the Life Compendium, a librarian states that they lost so much when the Spine's mindless drones attacked. They felt betrayed that the breath did nothing. They could have sealed the breach, but instead, they just let everything become a parody of the Promised Lands. We then activate a console that tells us the vessel's current terraforming capabilities and makes note of the breach. According to this, we need at least 50% of the catalyst reserves for a stable and quick terraform. To our dismay, and due to the breach, we have lost the samples of jellyfish, sea anemones, and corals. Also to not let any samples be in contact with the catalyst. This library is home to an untold amount of data that, I assume on what we were just told, would be used to bring familiar flora and fauna and all kinds of things from Earth to the new planet. We also find this flash memory. It states that Ember was requesting access to the precious samples, with a comment made by her, saying to not trust the machines, except this little fellow. When she comes back, it will mean that the dust has settled. Ember is referring to MIO, and funnily enough, we are not far from the precious samples floor. But before that, there is the lecture hall, and another librarian greeting us, and is surprised that we survived the attack. So, before we head to the precious samples area, let's talk about Noden. I said earlier to remember his name when we fought Ahti at the spine for the first time, and that's because he is a key component as to what happened before we were reactivated. Remember that Lura was supposed to be the successor to Noden, but the embedding failed. This left Noden to be in his role way beyond the intended lifespan. And because of this, he started to feel isolated, alone. Over time, Noden's connection to his biological life was weakening, and began to lose sight of the importance of their mission as travelers, on reaching what they refer to as the Promised Lands, this new home. This is a Pearl record of his, called Premature Conclusion. From this, we learned that he started to see all of the units on the vessel in a different light. That if the vessel was to land, it would mean the end of most of the machines, including the pearls themselves, in favour of the library, the only thing that would survive the impact of landing. This was the Traveller's plan, to preserve organic life by reaching the Promised Lands, and in turn sacrificing the artificial life of the vessel. Noden felt betrayed in a way, being denied his rest from the failed embedding. He was ready for his rest so many years ago, but it was taken from him. And now to have all of these machines be put to death, the same machines that carried the vessel all this way? The death of She, the Mother Teresa of robots? It felt unjust. Something he could not and would not ever accept, and so he vowed to protect them. Every single one of them. This matches his voice, carrying the weight of choice. Once he heard that the Eye had found a habitable planet with coordinates to match, he breached the firewall. Under new ownership, he gave the order to destroy the coordinates and marked it as a maximum priority level and to let nothing stand in the way. This is what the librarians were referring to about the Spine's drones attacking. This order started an all-out war within the library and led to so many units being destroyed and the breaking of the catalyst. At one point, it ended with Ahti managing to sever Noden's connection by forcibly stealing his voice. This is why when we confront Noden, the Spine, we see an empty shell. A husk where Noden once lived is where Ahti stood when we beat the game earlier. But this time around, before we head to the heart again, we have the location of the coordinates. We will have something more to give Claia. Not just the voices of the others, but a destination, a new home. We finally make our way to the precious samples. The doors open to us, and within we can see something. A traveller, possibly by shape, clutching on to something else. And as we approach, we are blocked off by She. She is insistent that anything beyond that door will not save the heart. It will only lead to death. To our deaths. She disagrees with what the Traveller's original mission was, to reach the Promised Lands. But the vessel? The vessel has provided for us and will continue to provide for us. She cannot afford for this secret to get out. She apologizes for what is about to happen. And so our final fight begins. Let me tell you, this music goes just as hard as this fight, because this fight was bloody hard. Hands down the hardest boss fight in the entire game, and rightfully so, being a secret boss that was a journey to get to. At several points I needed to stay in the air while avoiding projectiles. I needed to dodge a whole bunch of moves like this ring explosion. I maneuvered around an endless amount of beams and needed to hover to avoid this. I needed to hang on the edge of the bridge at one point to avoid this move. This is why this fight was really cool. It made me use all of the abilities that we had gathered at this point throughout the entire game, and I needed to be at my very best to win. And after many attempts, we did it. And as soon as we begin to cross that bridge, one final tremor is felt. Pushing on through the decay, we reach Ember. And for a brief moment, we gain control of our sister, Ati, carrying us in her arms.
Tired. So very tired. So very frail. The vessel is too heavy. I can't carry her anymore. This is as far as I take us. I am sorry. This presence, the sounds of these steps, I know them. Atty. It has been so long since I sent you away. Alone and blind. There was only one thought that kept me going. That you would come back to me. That you would bring me an answer. But you brought so much more. Voices. A sister. And her final legacy. A destination. Atty. MIO. Thank you.
You brought us to the end of our long travel. All that is left is to follow that final trail. And then, after everything is settled, peace.
You see the difference there? Laid to rest with our sister. The roots from the heart that glow with this light of hope. I mean, what do I say about this game? I loved it. I loved so much of this game. You've heard me gush over it throughout the entire video, but it deserves repeating that this game felt like a work of art. I had so much fun playing it. And it was such a joy as well to get both endings in this game, because of course this game has 2 endings. Speaking of endings, you have the first one where you collect all of the voices through all of the hardship and bring them to the heart. The desperate attempt for Ahti wanting her master, the heart, to finally rest and not have to keep pushing herself. It's, no pun intended, heartbreaking. But the voices are enough to give Claia the strength to continue on, and to keep the vessel alive, and therefore keep the world of the units alive, but at the cost of an aimless journey. MIO sacrifices herself for what she hopes is the right choice, possibly the only choice. Then the second ending, bringing not just the voices, but the coordinates as well, fulfilling the original mission of the travelers and making a journey of so many years worth something, no longer aimless, and with a purpose. The sacrifice of both MIO and Ahti are the reason for the vessel finally reaching the promised lands, but it's also at the cost of an entire world of artificial life. Artificial life, at least to the travelers, but more than that to Noden. And in Noden's eyes, he was only wishing to protect what he saw as life worth protecting. Protecting the units that are the reason the vessel made it so far. Many of them, like Rad, Mel, She, and all of the units that you can speak with. Their home is the vessel, but will be destroyed in the landing. That was by design of the travelers, for all of them to be expendable. The vessel and the units, the entire vessel, is a one-way trip. Also, we have an extra bit here after the credits for the second ending, which wasn't a thing for the first. A planet. A child chasing a butterfly. Eventually reaching what are the remnants of the vessel, what was once a home to so many, now ruins to be explored. Eventually the child reaches this beautiful, vibrant tree, growing from the shell of Asma, and within its bark, Ahti and MIO, the two who sacrificed their own entire world, all to give the next generation of travelers like this little one a better life. I think that this game does an incredible job of its storytelling and themes, not only through spoken and written words, but through its environment as well. Themes of belonging, legacy, and the heavy cost of a prolonged survival. Recovering the memories that were once lost, dealing with the loss of loved ones like Lura, and struggling with one's own identity. The idea of hope in the face of uncertainty and futility. Regardless of what you may think of She siding with Noden, they maintained hope for the future of the vessel in one way or another. And it does make complete sense for She to side with Noden, given that She is a unit. And the beauty of what a character like MIO represents. This non-organic life form that went far beyond their basic directive and creating emotional bonds with others in the vessel. Showing that a robot can form these deep connections suggests that what makes us feel alive is not based around our own biology, but around the idea of forming a deeply emotional and caring connection. To care for something and to be cared for by others. It may have some drawbacks, but this game is a shining example, in my eyes, of what makes a great Metroidvania game, with a plentiful amount of both style and substance. I wanted to give this game some sort of score, but the number out of 10 thing scares me, so I will instead give MIO Memories in Orbit the second brightest star, Canopus, out of 10. Also, make sure to do your personal assistance quest, the little side quest thing that you can do in this game. It's worth it. Trust me. Hey, thank you so much for watching. While this video took a good while to make, partly due to my procrastination, it was a ton of fun to make, and it is one of the more creative things I have done when it comes to making a video. I'll probably be making more videos like this, or at least somewhat similar to this, which will translate to a bigger gap in uploads, but I honestly feel like it'll be worth doing. I know there was probably a bunch of stuff I missed in this game and could have spoken about further. There might even be some things that I got wrong about this game. I really want to get better at making these kind of videos, so by all means leave a comment on what you think I could do to improve. I know there are things like audio balances and stuff that I know I can improve on, but I would still like to hear anything at all that you think I could do better on. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a peaceful day.